Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Uncivil Law. I hope you're having a good day. And we are here with a Supreme Court, Texas versus Pennsylvania, everyone in the pile update. And with me are some random people who support this channel from my Discord. Say hello, random people. Yeah, so I actually need to actually make it so that your audio will be on stream. That'd probably be helpful. So let me change the, see, this is the perils of streaming where I'm like, where is my inputs and where are my outputs and who's on stream and who's not. So let me actually change the properties to do this. So now you're there and let's see if that works. Say hello again.
Hello again.
All right, fantastic. That worked that time. Yay. All right, great. So we're here with everyone in the pile, including fictional states, which is blowing my mind because I'm not sure I've ever seen that before. So let's update you as to where we are, which will not be where we will be by the end of the stream based on how things are going at this point, because everyone continues to get into the pile. So in case you're wondering what's on the screen right now, this is just from the Supreme Court's docket. So you can pull up the docket and you can see everything that's attached to the docket. So you get to see all the people that are there. So we go back to the 7th, 4 days ago, and already so much has changed. The leave to file, the preliminary injunction, the motion to intervene by the president, super exciting. Briefs of amici curiae, and then we got a whole bunch of amici curiae. These are friends of the court. Some random constitutional attorneys. We've got, who else we got in this pile? The District of Columbia and 22 other states want to join the defense pile. So we got DC, wannabe state. I guess they're a fictional state too. DC and 22 other states who want to be in the defense side of the pile. And we got a whole bunch of people who want to be on the plaintiff state or petitioner side of the pile. So we got some members of the Pennsylvania General Assembly who want to join the pile. We got some Pennsylvania state senators who want to join the pile. The Christian Family Coalition, for some reason, wants to join the pile. The Pennsylvania House of Representative Speaker. We got 105 members of the House of Representatives, all Republicans, who want to join the pile. Lieutenant Governor of various states want to join. The city of Detroit itself, not to be confused with Michigan. The city of Detroit wants to get into the pile. We've got amici brief of a Georgia senator. Lynn Wood wants to file leave. That's good. Lynn Wood wants a piece of this. Of course we do. Citizens United somehow got into the pile. Citizens United is in the pile, which I find to be hilarious. Then we got, of course, the reply from Texas that says we're absolutely going to win. And then we got the motion of the actual amici from the 125 people who are from the U.S. House who want a piece of the pile. But that is not why we are really here today at the moment. We are here today to talk about this particular brief because this may be a first I've ever seen. I've never seen a brief from fictional states. This is new. This is a new one. We got a lawyer who signed a brief on behalf of the states of New California and New Nevada. So we got actual secessionists who want to be part of the pile. Chat, what do you think about this?
I think you have some issues with standing.
Yeah. I think one of the things that might require you to be standing is you have to exist. That might be a thing that has to be true. I'm confused. Okay, let's read this. And feel free to interrupt and comment at any time you want, guys, because that's part of the fun. We can have all the discussions we're having in the ramp up to getting on stream. And you too can be part of the Uncivil Law discussion horde. This is everyone into the voice chat pile as part of the everyone into the lawsuit pile. I figure is only fair.
Now, to be fair, you did say that this was sovereign citizen-like. So they're probably using their corporate form for this, which means that this is probably a state information.
So I have to interpret this in sovereign citizen logic,
Of course.
which is asking a lot. Okay, so we're not looking at this from the natural form. We're looking at it from their corporate form. So these are, I guess, sovereign citizens who don't have any allegiance to the state, but they'd like to be a different state, which then presumably they'd have allegiance to, or would they still be sovereign citizens at that point? If they got their new state, would they still be sovereign citizens? How does that work? I don't know. I don't know how to understand. I don't know how to decode sovereign citizen.
Maybe they each get their own state.
Every person gets a state, so every person gets 2 senators. That'll be hard because then we're going to run out of people.
Well, that's great. Solves the problem.
Yeah. And I was also debating whether or not to call this attorney on the phone and see if he wanted to join the voice chat, but I don't even know what questions I'd ask him. I mean, because this guy is a licensed attorney and he's a member of the U.S. Supreme Court Bar, because you have to be to file an amicus. So he's a member of the U.S. Supreme Court Bar. And I want to call him and ask him like questions like why. But I don't know that I have any intelligent follow-ups after why. So,
Yeah.
all right. So I guess we'll go ahead.
It would also be a little bit annoying if my theory pans out that this was filed in his name rather than actually by him.
Yeah, that would explain a lot of things. Yeah, I think.
I think
That
that's
would
the most likely explanation here as well.
Yeah, that would bring us some hope or something. So I feel like I want to call this guy and ask him questions. And we had a fairly successful interview yesterday with the head of Utreon. That was pretty good, CEO of Utreon. And I actually had intelligent questions, or at least I'd like to think so. But for this guy, I don't know that I have any intelligent questions, because my only question is what and why. And I'm not sure how intelligent those really are.
Well, did you?
If you filed with the Supreme Court Bar in somebody else's name, how many laws would have you broken there?
Some laws. Some laws. I like how one of their references is the U.S. Department of Justice. They recognize the U.S. Department of Justice. This entire thing is also weird because, like, they're citing entities. They're citing, like, the U.S. Constitution. Do they believe in it? They're citing cases from the U.S. Supreme Court. They acknowledge they exist? Because these are fictional states. So, like, how does that work? These are secessionist states. They want to not be the states they are, but they still want to be part of the United States as different states.
This sounds like the one China system, kind of, where you have where nobody agrees on what is China, but they both agree there's only one.
Yeah.
They have misspelled Governor Newsom's name twice now, both in a reference and in.
That's the least of the problems, I'm sure. The misspellings are the least of the problems. Let's read the statement of the interests of the amici, because they have interests as amici, which presupposes they exist, presumably. Okay. The arbitrary changing of election laws is not confined to the defendant states. Did you have arbitrary changes of your election law? Fictional states? I don't know how to even begin to answer that question, but apparently that's questions I now have to ask. Did your laws change in your fictional states? Did your fictional Supreme Court or fictional legislatures change your fictional election laws? I don't know. We agree with amici state of Missouri, so apparently they think Missouri is the bomb. So they're not so fond of California and not so fond of Nevada, but they do like Missouri. So maybe they'd like to be part of Missouri. So Missouri could have some enclaves in Nevada and South and California. That could be a thing. Yeah. Concerning the importance of the presidential election and the importance of their 3 strong interests, we adopt their reasoning completely. Okay. So I'm not sure how Missouri necessarily feels about that. So that's actually a really good question. So did you ever? There's a good college humor skit, which involves this guy who pretends to be like insane or believe things for insane reasons. So the skit, the premise of the skit is the one guy says some things that are kind of like normal that someone could believe in, and this other guy then agrees with him, but for reasons that are batshit crazy. And then it's like, wait, do you believe it for those batshit crazy reasons? No, I believe it for normal reasons. So if you're the Attorney General / Solicitor General of Missouri, how do you feel about having the complete agreement of the crazy soft sit, I want to be fictional, I want to be a sovereign state people? How's that working out for you? Anyone have any thoughts on this issue?
Try not to laugh too much.
It's one of those things that makes you question everything you ever believed in, right? It's like, because wait a second, how wrong have I been? It's like when Legal Eagle agrees with me, right? It's like, wait a second, what's wrong with me? Yeah. Because of the emergency nature of this action, the amici have not been able to secure the consent of the parties. I'm not feeling like that consent normally comes. Normally you give blanket consent, but if that hasn't happened, I'm not feeling the parties consenting to this particular amici. Normally it's a pretty dick move to deny an amici. It's a pretty dick move. But on this occasion, I wouldn't feel too bad about it. New California state and new Nevada state are directly impacted by the arbitrary and capricious changes in the laws. Not to be confused with the arbitrary and capricious idea of we are states, which also I'd like to point out is arbitrary and capricious. Part of the reason for the formation of the new California state and the new Nevada state is to stop the lawless actions of Governors Newsom and Sisolak. Newsom we're spelling with an E. I don't know if that's a misspelling or if we're like trying to indicate something. Is that like a secret signal of our contempt? If we spell it with an E, people in the know, people who know. So we think it's a misspelling, but it's really the secret signal. It's a bad signal. An opinion of this court achieving a national uniform rule of law establishing the supremacy of the Election Clause will resolve some of these complaints causing the establishments of these new states. So if the Supreme Court agrees with this, we won't want to be new states after all. But if the United States Supreme Court disagrees with us, we still want to be new states, even though it would be new states that are part of a federalized republic that would be bound by the Supreme Court's decision that we disagree with, but we still want to be members of it, even though we disagree with it. So if you agree with us, we don't want to be states anymore. If you disagree with us, we still want to be states under a system we find to be broken. Okay. Additionally, there is a violation of the Equal Protection Clause for those who receive votes after receiving unsolicited mail-in ballots compared to those who registered and asked for an absentee ballot in the existing state of California and Nevada. I don't know. I mean, in some states, people probably received unsolicited ballots, but that's a matter of individualized state law, and some states allow it and some states don't. So I don't claim to know what the procedures in either California or Nevada are. But unless either California or Nevada didn't send them to some people and did others in a deliberative way or something, I don't even know what what are the mail-in ballot procedures in the states of New Nevada and New California. By way of comparison, what are your requests for absentee ballots in your fictional states' laws?
So if we're going off of history, when North and South Carolina split up, they took all of the laws from the previous state, would have the laws of California and Nevada, theoretically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then they change them.
Yeah, that's pretty typical, right? So, that's kind of how it started for the United States, too. When we broke off from England, for all intents and purposes, we took all the laws of the UK. And then we kind of deviated from there.
Yeah. Do you think they actually want to comply with the Uniformed and Overseas Citizens Absent Voting Act?
I don't.
The one where the military get to absentee vote.
I don't know. I don't know how many members of the military belong to the states of New California and New Nevada.
I'm gonna say it's a federal law.
Yeah. Do their military members still get to vote absentee? These are questions I never thought I would ask. Furthermore, within Nevada, which is a place distinct from New Nevada, I'd like to remind you, at least according to them, the registrar of voters for Clark County, encompassing the city of Las Vegas, changed how the department was going to process votes without legislative authorization or approval, to the harm of the state of New Nevada. This action was in stark contrast to how 16 other counties handled their ballots. All right. We agree with the state of Texas and its amici. Now the state of Texas has to feel bad. The state of Texas was feeling a little bit shaky, before, but now Texas doesn't feel as shaky because they have the support of New Nevada and New California. Good. For those reasons, we adopt that argument as though fully set herein. So we also want to get into we agree with Texas. So maybe they can be enclaves of Texas. I'm not sure if Texas wants that or not. Probably does. Texas does seem like the kind of state that wants enclaves everywhere. You know, if they have their druthers, we want to be all the states. We want to definitely have some enclaves. And would Texas want an enclave in California or not? Does that hurt Texas or help Texas to have an enclave in California?
I think they should call themselves the New California Republic.
Doing a little Fallout reference there. You get the twin-headed bear thing going on.
It would have made so much more sense.
Yeah, the NCR. I love it. Yeah, and then we could get the boomers, of which Nick and I can join. And we get some other things. You know, we just recreate all the factions from Fallout. We can have Camp Little Light, Lamplight. We can have the wannabe Roman Legion wearing hockey gear. We're just going to recreate the entire game in real life. Both California and Nevada will also allow same-day voter registration and voting, and those who registered and vote on election day are treated differently from those who registered 30 or more days. How? How are they treated differently? This disparate treatment is also a violation of equal protection. How? You could register 30 or more days before or on election day. Either way, like you're covered. Moreover, before election day, the lawsuits involving Newsom decided California Governor Newsom's arbitrary change in how California's votes was unconstitutional. The Sutter County Superior Court ruled the governor may not exercise legislative power unless permitted to do so by the Constitution. That's pretty much a truism, yes. While the California Constitution may authorize the California governor to exercise legislative powers, the California Constitution cannot delegate the powers of the United States Constitution reserved to the legislature. Okay. The separation of powers provision in Article 2, Section 1, Clause 4 is a structural attack against usurpation. Big word. Big word for, that's a really big word for particularly these plaintiffs. They want to say that there's a structural check against usurpation. The people who want to be new states. Does anyone see the problem here, other than me?
Yeah, and wasn't that he wanted to not have the state deciding where the legislator is?
Yeah.
I'm sure that's the state's right to decide exactly what counts as their legislative power and what doesn't, and where it lies. And
probably, one would imagine, there might be some limits somewhere on the edge, but yeah, probably. But my point is more, they say the Constitution provides structural checks against usurpation, which presumably they think is good. By saying that, they are implying that structural checks against usurpation is good. They're implying usurpation is bad. But these are the people who want to be new states. So, there's a bit of a logical inconsistency, it seems to me, in this particular word choice. Not completely self-aware is my point.
Yep.
As stated in other brief, the election clause provides each state shall appoint its elector in a manner as the legislature thereof may direct. New California State and New Nevada State would like its legislatures to direct how its electoral votes are determined. Last time I checked at the relevant political maps, I didn't notice that either New California State or New Nevada State had any electoral votes. But, okay. Actually, that's actually an interesting constitutional question. I actually don't know the answer to that, and I'm not sure anyone does. Like, if you had an election with the states that are in play, right, on November, and somehow you managed to squeeze through Congress bills to put new states in, right? And now those new states exist. Do they get votes in the Electoral College if you can squeeze it in? So sometime between Election Day and the day the electors meet, you would pass a bill in Congress to get new states in. Do they get electoral votes or not? How does that work?
I believe it was Hawaii. So when Hawaii became part of the United States, if I remember right, they actually put in there that the legislature picks any electors and they get House of Representative votes in excess of the normal, as well as 2 senators. So they did actually solve this already.
Right.
Did they? So we can look back to Hawaii. We can look back to Hawaii for precedent on this.
Also, that particular act would have a start date on it.
Yeah, but we're assuming Congress is an idiot and is or is deliberately malicious.
Okay.
So we're in our hypothetical universe, we're assuming that Congress has a start date of sometime between Election Day and sometime between the day of the Electoral College because they're stupid and or malicious.
I'd imagine the act wouldn't do that with the formation date of the state.
Well, we're at this point we're imagining fictional states existing, so our imaginations have to run a little bit deeper than that. That's what I'm going with.
Fair enough. In that case, it will possibly. It depends on what was written in the act.
So maybe because there is that idea that Texas, as part of its becoming a state, has this reservation that at any time it could create 4 or 5 additional states. Now, there's some dispute as to whether or not, 1, that's constitutional in and of itself, and 2, whether or not it's already happened. Because you can make an argument that what they were referring to was territories that have since been split up into other states. So 1, is that still operative? Or 1, was it ever operative? 2, is it still operative? But assuming that it's constitutional, assuming that it hasn't been used, could Texas, as part of its method to get the electors, hey, we just suddenly declare that we're now 5 additional states. So now we get 10 more votes or something. Is that a thing Texas could theoretically do in this fictionalized legal universe where we're imagining all the legal scenarios that no one ever dreamed of before? Where I get to ask questions that sound borderline insane because that's the universe that we're now in?
Yeah, again, I would expect there would have to at least be some process to that, of going through that. But yeah, no idea.
Yeah. So these are the questions. These are the questions that demand answer. Maybe they should try to be New Texas. That's their problem. They're asking from the wrong states. They should be New Texas. They should be New Texas, New Texas, New Texas.
Well,
New Texas.
The bet I would say on that would be that
and Austin.
For it to still become a state, as far as the US federally is concerned, they would still need to recognize it as such.
Yeah, no, that is also in the Constitution. So for those of you playing along at home, normally to become a state, you have to get the permission of Congress. If you want to become a state that is from a part of an existing state, normally you need consent of that state and consent of Congress. If you want to join states, or you want to form a state from multiple different states, then you need consent of all the states involved and the consent of Congress.
Right.
So you need consent. You need consent from the new territory. You need consent from the U.S. Congress, and you need the consent of all the states that are also involved in this equation, depending on where your territory is. So that's the normal way you become a state, according to the Constitution, at least. But we're in an imagined world. We're in an imagined world. Texas has this secret reserve clause that they could just pull out at any time and be like, we already have consent in advance.
I would have an argument in that reserve clause is basically just Texas's consent side.
Yeah. Which they didn't really need in the first place, because Texas could always consent.
It's absolutely superfluous, yeah.
Yeah, superfluous, yeah, I agree.
That would be my argument on that one.
And I also think there's a very credible argument. There's a very credible argument that it doesn't comply with the U.S. constitutional procedure. We can just randomly create 5 states, even if we assume we had consent in advance. I'm not sure really that's a thing you can do in this context. So there's that. And then there's also the idea that it already happened because states were formed as part of Texas territory or whatever. But we were just hypothesizing the batshit crazy stuff that we have to do when we're putting on our fictional lawyer hats on behalf of the states of New California and New Nevada. Since we're already putting on our lawyer hats for New California and New Nevada, we can ask ourselves questions like, what if Texas just randomly declares that they're now 5 states? Do they get more votes? These are questions that now make sense in our hypothetical. You have to go fully down the rabbit hole. Maybe you need more drugs. I don't know.
I mean, in all fairness, all of the AGs were probably doing lots and lots of illegal drugs to get these briefs in.
Yeah. No, I said this on stream. I said this on stream, and I said this on stream initially, and some people were like, because I said I'd be panicking. I'd want to shit myself, to be quite honest. I want to die. Trying to write a Supreme Court brief in 48 hours. And people were like, why would you be shitting yourself when you're so sure? Because you're so sure that Texas doesn't have a case. So if, because they gave they gave Pennsylvania like 48 hours. So it's like, if I'm Pennsylvania, I'd want to die. That's how I feel. If I'm Pennsylvania, I want to die. And people are like, why would you want to die if you're so sure that you have a legal argument? And I'm like, because you're asking me to write a brief to the U.S. Supreme Court in 48 hours. If you're asking me why I'm panicking, I don't think you fully understood all the words I just used in that sentence.
How many pages is this document?
This particular document is 13 pages. But this was not written by Pennsylvania or any existing state.
No,
this was written by two fictional states.
Agreed, and we're still at 13 pages, which is still quite a bit to get done in a couple of days.
Yeah, but they didn't have a 48-hour deadline. They had 72 hours or something.
Even better.
Hey, that's less. That's also because I don't really have to care that much if I'm the lawyer representing New Nevada, because how could I possibly be convicted of malpractice? Malpractice of where?
I mean, you want to at least get it right if you're the actual named party.
Yeah, no, that would be helpful. If I'm Pennsylvania or Georgia or Minnesota or Missouri or something, I'm gonna panic because I'd like to actually get it right and not embarrass myself. But if I'm the lawyer for New Nevada, I'm like, well, I'm doing a snort off a hooker's chest and going for broke. I don't know if they allow gambling in New Nevada. Maybe we should ask.
You could go to the New California website and see the wonderful, wonderful New California website.
Oh my God, should we do it?
That. Oh,
what is the website for New California? We definitely need this diversion in our lives. What is it? Is it just newcalifornia.com?
Go to the text channel and
newcaliforniastate.com.
Oh, we definitely need to do this. This is definitely a thing that we're doing in our lives. Oh my God. Are you sure? Wow. Okay. This is a thing that exists. Let us enjoy this. Joy. We'll go to their homepage here.
You have to click on their death.
Oh my God. Did Candace Owens give a talk at New California? Oh,
I
wow.
think it was probably used without her
a Wix site. Interesting. Yeah.
They have a draft on. They have an animation? Okay, I guess we're playing the animation now.
Oh. They got an animation of a donate button.
They actually even have
some background video.
Web design is their passion.
Well, it's built on Wix, so. Oh, they're including scripts from Yandex.
Oh,
The Russian search engine.
that was worth our time in every possible way. Why is Candace Owens on here?
Oh, now I need to know what Yandex script they're loading. Where is it?
Why do I click on Candace Owens' name and I get sent to a random page that has nothing to do with Candace Owens? She has her own icon on the homepage, and then I actually click on it. It just goes to events. They have legislation? Oh my God, they have legislation.
Yeah, that's Yandex's. They're using Yandex's analytics package because Russian analytics package is better than any American one. This is doing well.
Okay. That's good. Oh, they have Zoom meetings.
Yeah,
If you're interested, guys, you could go to their Zoom meeting. They have Zoom meetings every Sunday and Wednesday at 7 p.m. I assume that's Western time, Pacific time. Yeah. So you can join their meeting and learn about the new Vegas, New Nevada, and New California.
Yeah, this is New California one. So might not be much new Nevada stuff on it.
What is with this picture of Trump and... Yeah. That's different. Are you a patriot? Are you God-given rights vanishing before your eyes? Do you want a constitutional government? Californians are fleeing the state at record level. Taxes on everything, escalating prices, too many regulations, constant attempts against our Second Amendment rights, forced vaccinations, a horrible education system, and the list goes on and on. Our state government is operating like a dictatorship, not constitutionally. Voter fraud and corruption is so deep we can't vote them out. But when we want to become a new state, what to do? Stand your ground.
If you go hover over at the top, there's a new state. Go down, there's one that says "Why New California?" And the first bit of just the first paragraphs are starting to be great.
Which one of these am I supposed to be clicking from during a new state?
Why New California? Second one down.
I don't see why in California under a new state.
Why
New California? I thought you said widening. I'm sorry.
Why
Misheard you.
Fair enough.
Go away, banner thing, so I can read your banner. Why New California? We're a state in development. We're a 501c4 organization, of course we are. Founded in 2017, declared its independence on January 15th, 2018, and conducted 6 constitutional conventions across the states, where delegates of the New California movement have come together to construct a new California state constitution and pass critical legislation. The New California legislature has today passed 23 resolutions, including a resolution to restore the state of California, which doesn't even make sense. How can you, a purported new state called New California, how can you pass a resolution to restore the state of California? That doesn't even make sense. You do, by your own terms, you don't want to restore the state of California. You want to devolve from the state of California. What are you talking about? Why are you passing resolutions dealing with other states? Again, I'm sensing some contradictions here. Do you want to restore California or not? Pick a side, man. I still want to know how Candace Owens got involved in this crap. They have a grievance committee?
I was just clicking on that link and it goes, oh.
So if you go to their calendar, you can see that they have their grievance like next Wednesday. Oh, and yeah, that's their website crashing your web browser.
Excellent.
Well, I also saw links to some talk show, radio talk show in that light.
If anybody can find their constitution, that should be fun.
I'm not sure fun is necessarily the exact word that we'd be wanting for, but sure. Let's go with fun. Legislation, maybe? They have constitutional conventions. Did they actually pass a constitution?
They said that they have.
Okay. I still want to know how Candace Owens is involved in this. That's what I want to know right now.
Declaration of Independence Process and Grievances 1 to 3. That. The grievances are clear dereliction of abuse by the governor and government of California, outright violations of Bill of Rights, and the U.S. Constitution as sovereign.
If anyone finds out how Candace Owens is involved, let me know, because I'm tired of poking around on their broken website. But let's go back to their brief from the fictional states. So if anyone finds that Candace Owens actually gave a talk or something to New California, please let me know, because I'd love to cover that. That'd be good.
I highly recommend closing those tabs.
Anyone in the current governance of the current state of California that they don't like, pretty much.
Yeah. Both California, yeah, we covered that. Moreover, before Election Day, the Sutter Supreme, we covered that. The Sutter the Sutter County Superior Court has ruled the governor may not exercise legislative power unless authorized. While this ruling may appear to impact California voters as a state issue and therefore not appropriate to this honorable court, the subject matter, changing in voting laws and procedures by a branch of government other than the legislature, that topic is directly addressed by our U.S. Constitution. While the California Constitution may authorize the California governor to exercise certain legislative power, due to the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution, Article 6, Paragraph 2, California Constitution cannot delegate the Constitution powers that reserves to state. Oh my God, someone actually found a link to the Candace Owens thing. Oh my God, we have to find it. We have to load this thing. Oh my God.
She has done it. She spoke with them like 3 different times. And of course, they're all paid events.
Well, yeah, of course. You got a meet and greet and a keynote. $35 a ticket, not too bad. I'd love to get transcripts of her remarks or something, but apparently in May, assuming that actually happened, which I don't know if it did because of COVID or not, but apparently in May, for $35 a ticket, you could go hear Candace Owens speak. About what exactly, I don't know.
Well, there was another one actually that looks like it did. I posted a link for that one as well. That looks like that one actually did happen. This one, I don't know if this one actually happened.
Yeah, that was October the 12th, the other one. That was $100 a ticket. Yeesh.
You gotta love all this, yeah.
Tonight at an event in Pismo Beach with one of the most unique political speakers in the country, Candace Owens is going to speak at 1000 Hills Park in Pismo. Candace Owens is a talk show host and author who's trying to take a conservative message in the inner cities. Okay. That's different. Oh, there's video? Oh my God. Okay. How long is this thing? 26 minutes? We're definitely not listening to this, but we'll listen to a minute just to give ourselves a taste.
On for the last 3 years, right? We went from impeachment to, oh my God, we've been trying to, A, kill Trump's economy. Guess what? Sorry, we literally have to lock down and kill Trump's economy. It's for your safety, right? We went from really understanding that they're running a senile candidate at the moment on the left. Every time this candidate opened his mouth, he still thinks he's running for Senate.
Well, let's skip forward a little bit.
Just really bold against is this trans movement, because now all of a sudden they're focusing on the kids, right? And this is the stuff.
She's saying all the conservative talking points, that's for sure.
To what Marxists want, which is an omnipotent government, an omniscient government, a government that is all powerful. You have to destroy the family. There can be no family. What better way than to tell kids when they're young, you can pick your gender, and to encourage them to mutilate their bodies, right? Because once your body is mutilated, you're never going to be able to have a family, a nuclear family, a solid family unit, right?
Okay, I feel like that's enough of Candace Owens for today, but we got a taste of what's going on there. Any of you guys listening to any of that? Did I lose you? Did I lose the chat?
Oh, we're here.
Okay, just checking. It's like, did I lose you guys? You find the Candace Owens thing was too much?
It was too much, but
I felt like we had to appreciate, the full weight of what was going on there. Yeah, I don't know why she talked. I guess just because of the money, but I don't know. It doesn't exactly help her cause to be speaking to the new California Republic wannabes. As a conservative, not necessarily the greatest look I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, this is good. I found a terms of service page on that broken website with an arbitration governing law and forum for disputes clause.
Where is the forum, just out of curiosity?
Taiwan.
Okay. All right, that's different. Noted.
In accordance with the American Arbitration Association in Taiwan.
I don't think that under the American Arbitration Act you can specify it has to be arbitration in Taiwan. I know the Arbitration Act goes pretty far, but I don't think it goes that far.
That is what this clause says. It's number 14 on that page.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to stay off the terms of service right now, because that's fine.
I thought that was...
Here are my terms of service. I'm going to use your page and make fun of it. That's my terms of service. That sounds pretty good. New California State and New Nevada State are suffering under many government usurpations. Again, they use this word without a touch of irony, which I find to be disturbing / hilarious. When new states are using a word like usurpation, that might be the most unaware thing I can imagine. You know, that's levels of unawareness that are pretty rich. You know, the executive branch and state level at the county have stripped away legislatively imposed safeguards. The executive branch in California and Nevada authorized the sending of ballots to all voters, resulting in stacks of ballots on the street without change of custody. Roughly 200,000 more inactive voters, those who did not reply to a Coast Guard as is determined they move, also received ballots. I don't think the vote in California was necessarily thrown off by whatever California did. Pretty sure they were going to vote Democratic no matter what happened. So, you want to say there was voting fraud in California? I'm not sure why you'd have to, because California is pretty reliably going to go Democratic at this point. You know, short of having a Republican candidate coming out of California, they're pretty reliably Democratic at this point. So, short of Ronald Reagan again, you know, or something like that. Of course, Nixon won California. Nixon won everything except, D.C. and like Vermont or something. So, if you're Nixon or you're Reagan, maybe. Otherwise, not so much. Vote by mail safeguards, whether imposed by Congress or a state legislature, cannot be swept away because of an executive order. Conclusion. The allegations in this bill of complaint raise important issues under the Constitution. They also raise serious concerns. Therefore, we should grant New California State and New Nevada State status of amici. That is definitely not a thing that's going to happen. Grant the petition of the state of Texas. Award cost to amici. That is definitely not a thing that's happening. And grant other relief as this court deems proper. Probably laughing in you at your face is probably a thing that's going to happen. That will cover that. And since we have been streaming, my prediction has in fact come true. There is a new document on the docket. Remember how I said there'd be a new thing on the docket by the time we did it? I wasn't wrong. There is a new thing on the docket. We have an intervention motion from some state legislators. Is it Texas state legislators?
Oh, please be better.
It's unclear. Or the Minneapolis. State legislators and voters group motion to leave file a complaint intervention. It doesn't make clear who they are. What state legislature? What voter group?
If you give it like 5 minutes, you'll actually probably get the new document if they filed that. Because I've noticed that that the clerks, I guess, typically enter that stuff first, and then they enter the actual documents afterwards. So give it like, yeah.
This pile thing, the everyone in the pile thing is becoming a thing. It's beginning to hurt me. It's beginning to hurt my eyes. It's beginning to hurt my brain, because I try to wrap my mind around it all, and it's just confusing me and making me cranky. You know, I try very, very hard, as best as I am able, to admit my biases and try to analyze things as fairly as possible. And then a lot of people don't like what I say, which is a bit annoying because I tried so hard. But I guess you can't please everybody, so I shouldn't be that annoyed. But, you know, I say I'm conservative, I'm Republican, and I look at this from conservative legal angles. And then I look at this, I'm like, yeah, this lawsuit's crap. You know, I'm not like the only conservative saying it's crap. There's a fair amount of conservatives who are saying it's crap for roughly the same reasons I'm saying it's crap. So, you know, I don't know how to please people. I guess maybe I should stop trying.
So apparently this new document is the Justice Foundation. And then I guess it's some sort of group that's calling themselves the State Legislators and Voters Group. So one more list in the pile, I guess.
So you're saying they're not really state legislatures, they're just calling themselves that? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's the name of the group, is State Legislators and Voters Group.
Oh, that's a combined name, State Legislature and Voters Group. That's a name of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so it's like a nonprofit organization or some bullshit that calls themselves that. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like they're part of the Justice Foundation or associate with them or something.
Okay. Should we read some of the reply of Texas to warm the cockles of our heart? See if we can load.
If the state attorney general does end up going to jail, which looks like a decent probability at this point,
There's a decent probability the attorney general of Texas is going to jail. Yeah, there's a decent probability he's going to jail.
You did say you wanted a new job, right?
That's right. Say, hey, I'm available. I'm also much less corrupt, which may or may not be a good thing depending on your point of view. All right, so I guess this is a motion to enlarge the word count, which I really don't care about. Reply of Texas. Can I get this PDF? No, I think the Supreme Court website has crashed. That's good news.
Give me 1 second. I think I have it.
Do you have the actual reply from Texas that we can go over?
Yeah. Let me see if I have it.
Is it just attached to this thing? Is it attached to their motion, or is there a separate thing?
It was the main document earlier, but it looks like it broke on their website, so I'm trying to see if I have it in my computer.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, the Attorney General of Texas might be going to jail for various corruption activities. There's a whole bunch of to do. He has fired like every member of his staff for being whistleblowers. He's in trouble. He might be going to jail. Bribery, abuse of power. He might be going to jail. Yeah, black leaf for Texas Attorney General. Black leaf matters. I love it. Yeah, there you go.
That should be it. I've just put on the... Oh, wait, wrong one. There we go. There we go. That should be it in the text channel.
All right, cool. Motion in support. Reply a motion for a preliminary injunction. All right, so let's read some stuff from the Attorney General of Texas, who has some words to opine about why his lawsuit is really, really good. I like how he writes Texas is likely to prevail, all in caps, which presumably he thinks makes it like more likely or something if he puts it all in caps. I don't know.
Well, capital letters matter in court, right?
Don't start with me. I know exactly where you're going. Don't start with me. Were you making a sovereign citizen joke?
Yes, I was.
Just double checking. It's like, yeah, because you're like capital letters don't matter in court. I had to think about it for a second. I'm like, oh, no. So if we write IS in capital letters, it has legal significance. Yeah. The defendant states do not seriously address grave issues Texas raises, choosing to hide behind other court venues and decisions in which Texas could not participate, and merits characterize the relief that Texas seeks and its jurisdiction. First, as a legal matter, neither Texas nor citizens have any action in any other court for relief that Texas seeks here. That's true. Texas does not have ability to bring a lawsuit anywhere else. That's true. It doesn't mean that Texas can bring it here, though. Just because you can't file anywhere else doesn't mean that you can file here. Yeah, it's not like how that works. It's like, I can't file in 49 courts, therefore I can file in the 50th court. No, it's not quite. Texas does not ask this court to re-elect Donald Trump, and Texas does not seek to disenfranchise the majority of the defendant state voters. To both points, Texas asked this court to recognize the obvious fact the defendant state's maladministration of the 2020 election makes it impossible to know which candidates garnered the majority of lawful votes. This court's role is to strike unconstitutional action and remand to the actors the Constitution and Congress vest with authority. Inaction would disenfranchise as many voters as taking action would. I seriously doubt that. I mean, you'd have to show your work on that. Like, how many voters are we talking about that are being impacted one way or another? Moreover, acting decisively will not only put lower courts, but also state officials on notice that future elections must conform to states. Defendant's invocation of laches and standing. Laches probably is not going to fly. Standing will. I don't see the Supreme Court buying the laches argument. That doesn't seem like a thing the Supreme Court will do. But I can definitely see them buying standing. Because laches is going to be hard, I would think. Yeah, laches is hard for Texas. It's a lot easier for a lot of other people. For Texas, it's hard. Standing is much more promising. So why make a laches argument if you don't have to? You know, as I've pointed out before on this channel, the courts like to look for the lowest possible ground, like water. You know, find the lowest possible level. What is the easiest thing to do? So courts are ultimately lazy. They look for the easiest thing to do. What is the easiest thing to do? And laches is not as easy as standing, so therefore you're more likely to go to standing. Asserting that Texas does not raise serious issues is telling. Suggesting Texas should have acted sooner misses the mark. The campaign to eviscerate ballots integrity provisions took months to plan out. In Texas, he had only weeks to detect the wrongdoing, looking for witnesses to speak, and marshal admissible evidence. Texas is likely to prevail. Defendant states do not credibly dispute either that they changed the statutes via non-legislative means or the Electors Clause preempts such changes. Pennsylvania improperly conflates Article 1 Election Clause with Article 2 Election Clause. To state the obvious, these clauses are in separate articles. The Elections Clause originally applied by its terms only to House and Senate elections, whereas the Electors Clause applies to presidential elections. Although the founders understandably feared the emergence of an all-power executive based on their experience with King George, they are not fearful of expanded legislative representation to which King George had denied them. As a result, the congressional proviso in Article 1 is broad. Congress may at any time by laws make or alter state determinations of time, place, and manner of federal elections. In Article 2, however, congressional authority is limited to one modality. Congress may determine the time of choosing the electors and the date on which they shall give their vote, which date shall be the same throughout the United States. This binary is textually significant. Corollary, state law can constrain Article 1 powers, but not their Article 2 authority, which might be true. State legislatures get the authority to appoint presidential electors from the federal constitution, not vice versa. Therefore, state limits on state legislature exercising their federal constitutional function cannot stand because the federal constitution transcends any limitations. That might be true. It might be true that any state constitutional limitation that attempts to put a limitation on the legislature would itself be unconstitutional. So it might be true that notwithstanding anything in the state constitution, that the legislature would have free domain to legislate in this particular area of law. So that might be true. If they tried to do something that got struck down by a state Supreme Court for being in violation of their state constitution, then the federal government might be able to come in and say, no, it's actually not, you can't do that. The state constitution itself is not a valid restriction. So, yeah, so that would be like the equivalent of Pennsylvania Supreme Court saying Act 77 is unconstitutional as a matter of Pennsylvania state law. And then the U.S. Supreme Court saying, well, it doesn't matter because their state constitution can't limit them.
So doesn't it sound like they're arguing the wrong side at the moment?
Yeah, that is one of the problems, yes. Yeah, there are many problems here. And because it isn't even that the state constitution, it isn't even that, like, the problem is not, as I understand it, in any of these states, and I might be wrong, although Pennsylvania was the closest. But the problem is not, and even then, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court didn't say it was unconstitutional, to the chagrin of many people, because a lot of people thought it should be unconstitutional, although I didn't. So the Supreme Court intervention would be, if anything, the other way around. So a lot of people were saying, well, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court had to declare it unconstitutional, and not to do so would violate the Electors Clause. If anything, it goes the other way around. If the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania had said Act 77 was unconstitutional, then the U.S. Supreme Court could have said, well, actually, no, it's not unconstitutional because your state constitution can't serve as a limit on the legislative power in this domain. So therefore, Act 77 is constitutional. So a lot of the people who said Act 77 is not a valid constitutional amendment, they might be right. It just might be irrelevant. So like Act 77 might be valid even if so that's exactly backwards. So yeah, Act 77 might be legal even if it's unconstitutional under the Pennsylvania state constitution, because the Pennsylvania state constitution can't limit the legislative power. So if Pennsylvania had gone the other way and said Act 77 is unconstitutional, the Supreme Court could have come said, and well, actually, it's only unconstitutional because of your state constitution, and you can't do that. The legislative has unquestioned power to legislate in this domain. So Act 77 is constitutional despite your constitutional text. So all the people who were saying the Pennsylvania Supreme Court was wrong for saying it was constitutional, if anything, it would have been wrong to go the other way around. You know? So this is, again, people not understanding law, including myself to some degree, because these are things that I don't understand about all the time because I don't think about it that much. You know, I don't think about these issues as much. And then people who don't have the background I understand it even less. So, yeah.
And Texas is arguing Pennsylvania's position at the moment.
Yeah, basically, a little bit. And also, like, Georgia's position, all the rest of it. And then it would be an issue of, okay, so so here's the thing, like, if the Constitution of the state is not a limitation, if the Constitution of the state is not a limitation, you still have to have the question of what is the state law, right? So you still have to have that problem. So who gets to make that determination? And it seems like it has to be the state Supreme Court, because maybe unless they're citing as their reason the state constitution. So if the Supreme Court of the state is citing its own constitution, then maybe if they're saying something is invalid. But if they're saying something is valid, then it's not clear the federal government has any role there, because if the state Supreme Court is saying a thing is valid, then it might be a thing the legislature just gets to do. So yeah, if anything, Texas is kind of arguing the position backwards. So there's a problem there, to be sure. Defendant states do not dispute that policy decisions to ignore state election law can violate the election clause every bit as much as non-legislative amendments. I don't know. Because who gets to make that decision? Yeah. And if you're saying that it's valid, then is that a fulfillment of the Electors Clause or going backwards? But Texas still has a standing problem. They still have a standing problem despite the underlying constitutional issues. Their standing problem is pretty serious. Defendant state cites litigation involving parties. It doesn't matter. What do they say on standing? Okay. So here's what they say on standing. Voting rights are fundamental, and the Senate is a body in which defendant states' actions threaten Texas voting rights. With that standing on its own, Texas can assert a parens parete standing for its citizens. So we're acting as the parents of the citizens, which is always ever popular. We are the parents of the citizens, so we get to spank our children.
Not only that, they're parents of a different state's citizens.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, parents of a different state's citizens. That's fun. Although Pennsylvania characterizes its actions as seditious abuse of judicial process and uniquely unserious, Texas seeks to enforce the right that reserves all others, suffrage. Which, again, suffrage is not a guarantee, particularly when it comes to the president, as we have discussed many, many times. You know, the state legislatures, if they have this absolute supreme authority, which it seems they can do, suffrage is nice and all, but, you know, it's optional. What are Pennsylvania's definition of sedition, moving this court to cure grave threats to Texas voting right of suffrage? How? In the Senate. How? And citizens' right of suffrage in presidential upholds the Constitution. The potential loss of suffrage means the serious magnitude test that Pennsylvania poses and purely legal nature of defendants' states' violations meet clear and convincing. Not really. Michigan suggests that remand to the legislatures to reconsider the result will not redress injury, but that is not the law. Michigan also argues the remedy would disenfranchise millions of voters, but Michigan officials disenfranchise those voters, who would then be in a position to just reaffirm whatever the state did anyway. And yeah, and then they just kind of, and they don't point to any like particularized harm. So standing remains a massive problem. So I don't think the everyone into the pile lawsuit goes anywhere or continues to go anywhere. I think it continues to not be a thing. Well, this has been a fun stream, sort of, kind of, not really.
So when does the Supreme Court close for taking documents?
I don't know that they've officially announced a time, but one has to imagine. Like, I don't know that they've officially announced a time, nor do they have to. They can just render a decision. They can just render a decision and be like, yeah, everything's moot, right? Because it's all been decided. So I think they're likely to make a decision today. I don't know if I think I originally said by end of business, which is 3 hours from now. So I'm not sure that that's going to happen. But I would not be, my money's still on by the end of the calendar day. So I might have been a little bit ambitious by saying the end of the business day, although that can still happen. But by 12 o'clock, by 11:59 tonight, yeah, I think you'll have a decision by 11:59 tonight. I think the odds are better than not. And I think you're still looking at like an 8-page per curm, if that. Somewhere between like 3 and 8 pages per curm. Maybe with a dissent from Thomas and Kavanaugh bitching about whatever. You know, that's about what I think you're looking at. Probably authored by Roberts, because why not?
I think the reason they gave 3 days is just so they could write the decision, have it ready.
Oh, yeah, no, I think it's an easy decision to write. I think the Supreme Court can write this decision. I think because you can write an 8-page decision. So, and they did have a conference today. They did have a conference today to discuss other issues, so I'm sure this came up. So, like, they might be writing as we speak right now, for all I know. So I'm still looking at a 3 to 8 page per curm that says this is dismissed for want of standing. Texas doesn't have any particularized injury to Texas, and this is not the appropriate form, and blah blah blah. And then maybe 2 pages, and maybe some dissent from Thomas and Kavanaugh arguing about the threat of the Republic or whatever, because that seems like a thing Kavanaugh would do.
Well, and Texas did give them a really good way to dismiss it, saying the legislature is allowed to do whatever they want. If the Supreme Court said no, then we could do something. But they said yes, go away.
Yeah, really. There were a couple super chats. I should have acknowledged them. $2 from Automata. Is everyone in the pile a South Park reference? It sure as hell is. It absolutely is a South Park reference. Everyone in the pile. Yeah, because that's about where we are. Everyone in the pile is absolutely South Park reference. Yes. $5 from Viden, the cold one. Hey, Kurt. Hello, Viden. And a new supporter from Future Inmates. Well, try not to become a future inmate is probably not desirable. But, you know, whatever. So, yeah. But I think we will have a decision by the end of the day. So that becomes an interesting for me for scheduling, because it's like, how do I schedule for today? Because I was still thinking about doing an issue of Supreme Court React. I've got a good one today, too, for Supreme Court React. You know, I got a good one for today. It's going to be Nestle versus Doe. Anyone want to guess what Nestle has done now? Because Nestle has a certain reputation in the world. Anyone want to guess what Nestle has done now? Nestle versus Doe. Any takers?
Did this the recent case?
Oh, yeah. It was just recently argued.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I'm not going to spoil it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Nestle is being sued under the Alien Tort Act for having child slave labor in Africa. So, child slave labor would be the thing Nestle did today. And trying to figure out whether Nestle can be sued for the slave labor of the children. Excellent. Good times. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out if we can schedule that for today, because on Fridays we often do Supreme Court React. But I don't know if I can schedule it, because with all my luck, the Supreme Court will issue its per curm, and I obviously want to do that the moment it drops. So I don't know if I can schedule anything today. That's my problem. Anyone have any thoughts on this?
I mean, you could always do the news method of, we interrupt this broadcast.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is, though, until it drops, nobody knows when it's going to drop, but it's going to drop.
Yeah, no one knows when it's going to drop, and it's probably going to be late tonight. So, you know, if I do something like 7 o'clock stream, by the time we're done, they probably will drop an opinion right in the middle of my stream. That's probably the thing that will happen. And then I'm going to have to like cut over to something else and cut that out or something. I don't even know how that's going to work in terms of that. And I still have to post my regular story for the day, because I still haven't posted my regular story for the day. I posted my little drop, my little excerpt from the stream highlight, which hasn't really seemed to be doing what I was hoping it's doing and sort of driving traffic. But I still have my regular story to drop, and I have to pick which story to drop today. So you guys get to vote, I guess, on which story would you like to hear today. Let's see what's available in my queue to drop. So I have to check to see what is there. Bear with me as I check to see what is in my video queue that I could drop today. Let's see. So we have the fight between the National Park Service and the Federal Aviation Administration. And then we have this one, which I don't even remember what this one is. What is this one? I need to give a more creative title than State versus State. What is it about? State issue is state issue. What is this about?
Oh, that's actually that's the one I did.
Oh, this is dealing with the will issue and the retroactive effect of wills? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's either national parks or retroactive effect of wills. Old school.
I would say state issue is state issue because it's very pertinent to current events.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'll do that. All right. So I think I'm going to sign off for the stream. I think we will do more of these streams in the future because this was completely unannounced, you know, in terms of like me doing a supporter stream. People have suggested it before and no one has ever, we've never done one before. So, you know, we might announce this and we might do an announced stream with members only or something like that for people to join in. We'll give them some notice so people can be part of that. But, you know, we'll see how we go from there. So I'm going to sign off on the stream. If you enjoyed the stream, if you give it a like, I'd appreciate it. Thanks to all the people who joined. Thanks to Internet Commentary for becoming a new member and Future Inmate for becoming a new member. Thanks to Vidian or Viden. I apologize, Viden, for super chat. Automata for a super chat. If you like this, please give it a like. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. That's the end for now. And whenever the Supreme Court drops with its opinion, making this all go away, we will certainly cover that. But for the moment, at least, that is the end of our discussion. Have a good one.